Join us and discover beautiful beaches, rugged landscapes, pretty towns, desolate mountain ranges that sweep down to stunning lakes, unique architecture, history and folklore, no shamrocks, no shillelaghs, and definitely no shenanigans, just naked Ireland. Here we are in what's known as the Holyland in the Queen's Quarter of Belfast. The origin of this name Holyland will become obvious as we walk around the area. It's got nothing to do with the church we just passed. We start our journey in Rugby Road, which as you can see has a nice row of detached houses, very different to some of the housing we'll be looking at later in this video. This leafy part of South Belfast is adjacent to the Botanic Gardens, but also right next to Queen's University, and so consequently is primarily made up of student flats. The street we're in now being the exception, since the housing here is a bit more special. And as we just pan to the right here, you can see how close the university is to the Holyland. But I think this particular street, Rugby Road, was worth looking at before we get into the heart of the Holyland, simply because it has some really lovely houses. Just look at the lovely two-tone brickwork on the houses on the left here with their bay windows. And on the other side of the street we have these imposing three-storey residences with their ornate doorways and iron railings. And just check out this house, totally unique. The whole street just has an air of maturity about it with its tree-lined drive and quaint front gardens. These houses back onto the Botanic Gardens too, so you can imagine they'd be much sought after. But as we turn the corner into Agincourt Avenue, we see the real Holyland, and the place where not only the name is derived, but also a certain reputation. So in these less extravagant houses, which are mostly divided into flats, are housed thousands of students from the university, hence the dry cleaners, essential in any student neighbourhood. And increasingly, this area, like many of Belfast's working class areas, is seeing a large influx of immigrants. This makes the Holyland one of the most ethnically diverse parts of the city. So we have a student population and a large ethnic population sitting side by side. That in itself causes no problems. After all, if students aren't tolerant towards new arrivals in our city, then who is? But this area does occasionally have problems, and these problems tend to be seasonal and centred around St Patrick's Day. It should be obvious that when you get so many students crammed into such a small geographical area, that there will be occasional bouts of celebration. After all, many of these young people are living away from home for the first time and enjoying themselves fully in the process. Who would deny them that? Indeed, there can be few people in Belfast who in their youth didn't end up at a party back in the Holyland. It's a special place in that sense. Now we're just coming up to Jerusalem Street, and so now perhaps you can guess why this place is nicknamed the Holyland. We just passed Palestine Street, and further along here we have Damascus Street. The corner shop. Now there's something that's on the decline in working class communities, but here in the Holyland there are quite a few small grocery places where students can top up on their pot noodles and baked beans. But back to St Patrick's Day. In recent years, this place has exploded into an orgy of drinking and I'm sad to say pretty antisocial behaviour on this bank holiday. It would be unfair to blame the student residents as a whole for this. Many students go home during this period, but there's certainly been a hardcore of student drinkers who've given this place a terrible reputation. The police now have a heavy presence here during the St Patrick's Day holiday, and the university has got involved too, threatening expulsions and fines for students who are involved. And of course this place, the off licence, is the Mecca in Holyland, if you'll excuse the pun, for the student population. It's at this place where many's a good night begins, and alas, it probably fuels much of the craziness that results on the St Patrick's Day holiday. These streets came to have their exotic foreign names from a previous Lord Mayor of Belfast, Sir Robert McConnell. He teamed up with builder James Ray and developed this area in the 1890s, naming the streets after places he had travelled. As a strict Victorian Christian, he would no doubt have been disappointed in the Holyland's reputation for debauchery today. Now we're heading down Collingwood Avenue towards the River Lagan, and what a lovely little street this is. There's a student loading his car to head home for the weekend. Of course, the big difference between today's students and those of yesteryear is how many have cars. These streets can hardly contain the number of cars that park here. Parking is a real problem. On this beautiful day with the autumn sun in the sky, we seem light years away from those drink-fueled afternoons around the 17th of March and the St. Paddy's Day holiday. And as the sign says there, you're not far from Botanic railway station. These streets were once a Protestant area of Belfast, which is a city where Protestant and Catholic traditionally matters. However, in recent years, the swelling intake of students at the university has seen this area house 7,000 students. And they're not all from Queen's, 60% are from Ulster University. But what is significant is that the majority of these students are Catholic, and so the religious demographic of this area has been completely transformed. As you can see, there's some newly built accommodation in this area too, so the lack of official university halls is being capitalised on by private landlords. But when all is said and done, the problems of crime and antisocial behaviour in the Holy Land can be attributed to student overcrowding. There's just too many people trying to share this space, and the accommodation is totally unregulated. The blue painted shop directly in front of us on the corner sells wheels and casters for flight cases and luggage. It just seems so weird that it's situated here in the Holy Lands. We're now heading down to the Rugby Road on the other side of the Holy Land where our film will end. I hope it has been interesting for you. I'm sure you may have opinions of your own if you know this place or perhaps lived here. Let us know in the comments what you think. But most important of all, please like the video if it's been informative, and don't forget to subscribe. That last bit's so important, and I'll see you all in the next Naked Ireland video.